In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace your rear parking brake cable on your Honda CR-V. It's located behind your driver's side rear wheel. Using a 19mm socket, we're going to remove our lug nuts. Make sure you have a hand on it. Take off that last one. Using a 14mm long socket, you're going to take off your caliper. By taking out these two bolts. Make sure you don't stretch your hose in any way. And you can hang up your caliper away from where you're working. You're going to use an impact driver with a Phillips head and remove your screws for your rotor. And then you can remove your rotor. Using a 10mm socket, we're going to take out our bolt for our speed sensor. You're going to need a flathead screwdriver to slide underneath. Twist the sensor a little bit if it does twist. And you're going to gently pry up by twisting the screwdriver back and forth. It may take a little effort to get it out of there, but try your best. Okay, using a 12mm socket, long socket, I'm going to loosen up these two bolts for the brake hose bracket and take it out. Make sure you hold the other end. All right, so now this is more free. I'm going to move this aside a little bit more, get it out of our way. All right, so now that you've removed that bracket, you can push your caliper in the far back, rest it on the axle. You just need it out of your way, and make sure you don't kink that brake hose. If you want, you can remove your speed sensor also and put that aside if it's in your way. Put that over here, and then you'll have more room for that bracket. All right, so we're going to take our shoes off. You can use some wire cutters, get the springs off. Or you can use a spring tool. Sometimes the wire cutters are easier. Okay, so you're going to disconnect your spring there. You're going to spread your shoes apart. You're just going to separate them out a little bit. Now we're going to take the spring clip off. All right, so we're going to move our spring clip down. And I have a little tech tip. You can use some locking pliers and squeeze that. Like that. Let that sit. Take some needle nose. If you can't spin that on your own, do that and take that off. All right, after you take that off, you can take off the shoe. And make sure you take your adjuster with you. All right, now you can take your spring clip pin out. Might be some rust. All right, so you're gonna take a flathead screwdriver and spin it out like the other side. Squeeze it. Get your needle nose in there and turn the pin. And then you can take that off. And then you can take the rest of the shoe down. At this point, we're going to have to disconnect this. So just make sure everything's secure and not going to fall apart on you. All right, so now we're going to take our pin out. It will fit, you just have to get the rust off. And push it low. Push it down, because the knuckle is in the way. All right, so we're gonna use some wire cutters to take this emergency brake cable off. All right, so if you use your wire cutters, you wanna use the bracket as leverage and not cut the cable, but use the cutters to pry it out from where it lives. Like that. All right, using a 10mm ratchet wrench, I'm going to take out this bottom bolt for our emergency brake cable. And then for the top bolt, we're going to use a short 10mm socket with a 1/4" ratchet. All right, and then you're going to take that bolt out. All right, so now we're just going to give it a tap. And take our emergency brake cable off our backing brace. Put that off to the side. All right, make sure you first release your parking brake if it's on. All right, so now put your seat all the way forward. The parking brake cable will be underneath the front seat. Okay, so underneath here is a cover, and you're gonna take this rug and Velcro it, take it apart. So this is what we're going to take off to access the spring for the parking brake cable. There's a Phillips screwdriver you're going to need for this screw and a 10mm socket and ratchet for this bolt. Okay, we're using our 10mm socket. And a Phillips screwdriver to take out this screw. Set those aside, and you can take this cover off. You know, you're supposed to be able to just take it off. All right, so we're going to disconnect the spring by pulling down and off. Using a 12mm socket, we're going to loosen up these nuts. Take those off. All right. this up and out off the studs and disconnect this cable. All right, so now at this point, you're going to pull the bracket this way. And there's a little slit on this bracket that you can feed the cable through. Like that. All right, so now you're just gonna use a Phillips screwdriver or a pry bar of some sort and pull out this rubber grommet. And then you can pull out your cable. Using a 12mm socket, we're gonna just take out this bracket. All right, and then you can just take that down. I'm going to use a 12mm ratchet wrench to get this bolt out for the bracket. Now we can take out the brake cable. All right, so now we're going to attach our bracket to the body of the car and just get the cable stable before we get it up through the floor. I did make sure that the cable is facing the right way so the bracket that goes into the backing plate is lined up correctly. Once that's snug, we're going to go underneath. All right, so you're going to put the cable through here next to the tank, and then you're going to insert the bracket into that guide hole and put your bolt in. Okay, now we're going to tighten this down. And snug it up. So now we're going to put the cable through the floor. And we'll worry about the rubber grommet after. Let's go up top and get it connected. Okay, so now here we are. We're inside the car, underneath the driver's seat. I'm going to connect our cable first. So you're going to put it in like that, and then you're going to turn the cable down. And then we're going to slide our bracket over the cable. Feed the housing through. And put the bracket back on those two studs. And we can put those nuts on. All right, let's tighten these down. And now we're gonna attach our spring back into that hole right there and make sure it's locked in between those two humps. Place our cover back in, slide it under the rug. And make sure it lines up with where the screw was in the bolt. Okay. Put the bolt in. Then you can put your rug back. All right, now you can feel free and move your seat back. All right, so now we can put our rubber grommet in place. I'm just going to press it in, work your way around. like that. All right, so now you're going to pull your emergency brake cable through and line up your bracket, and now we can put our bolts in. The head goes on this side, and it threads into this welded nut. And I'm going to snug it up as best I can. All right, so let's tighten up this bolt. And now we'll tighten up the one on the bottom as well. Because I can't really get the socket in there very well. Okay, so we're going to put our cable on. We're going to push the cable up with this bracket and feed our cable in. All right, so let's clean up our surfaces where the shoes need to move. Put some grease on them. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. Let it air dry. And I'll put a little silicone paste on the raised spots. All right, so we're going to attach our shoe. We have our locking pliers on our clip, and I'm going to put the pin through the back. And then I'm going to put my clip on. All right, so once you get your clip in there, you can turn that and release your pliers. All right, now we're going to do our other side. And slide your clip in. All right, so we're going to insert our bracket here. It just lays between the two. It's like sandwiched in there. And then you take your spring on the top and you're going to reach it over to this hole here. All right, so now we're going to put our little spring here and hook it into this hole. All right, so now we're going to put our adjuster in. So I'm going to place it in there. So it's like that, and now we're going to put our spring in the bottom. I'm going to put it in that elongated hole and also on the other elongated hole. All right, I'm going to put some anti-seize. All right, so now we're going to put our rotor on. Make sure that your screws are lined up. Put your screws in to hold your rotor on. Now you can spin your rotor to where your adjuster is. and adjust the e-brake. You're going to use a skinny flathead screwdriver. And you're going to adjust your adjuster. Alright, so when you spin it, you should hear a little bit of drag. If you can't spin your rotor, you've gone way too far, so back it off. Alright, so now I'm going to take my bungee cord off with a caliper in case it fell. And we're going to take it out from where it lives and put it on the rotor. Do not bend your hose too much or kink it. Alright, so making sure your brake hose bracket lines up and your caliper lines up with the bolt holes. Alright, so let's get our bolt started for our caliper. And the one on the bottom. Using a 14 millimeter, we're going to torque this to 41 foot-pounds. And the same with the other bolt. All right, so let's put our brake hose bracket back. Attach it with our bolts. All right, let's tighten these up. You're just gonna snug them up. You're gonna move on to this bracket here with your control arm, and you're gonna push it in. So now we're gonna put our speed sensor in our hub. Make sure your bolt hole is facing to the interior of the car. Start your bolt. And you're going to tighten it to about wrist tight. That's good. All right, we're going to reinstall our wheel. Get our lug nut started by hand. And now we're going to snug them up in a star-like pattern. I'm going to turn this down. All right, we're going to torque our wheel to 80 foot-pounds. We're going to do that in a star-like pattern. And I like to go around one more time.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.